Alright, so in this video I'm going to talk about how do we keep this tank clean. So the first thing I like to do is, if I notice that it's getting pretty dirty, I like to make sure I have the main light on, because that really helps me see that algae growing. And I can see a little bit of algae around. So I'm going to grab this algae cleaner. It has a bit of a metal tip to it, and I'm going to use that to scratch off the algae in here. And again, in our tank we have some starfish, so I like to make sure that when I clean I don't scratch off the starfish that might be on the side of the tank. And at times it can be hard, but I do what I can to make sure I clean it off. And as I clean off, I notice that algae can really start to then float around in bits on the tank. So you might see some of that algae that I just kind of scratched off starting to float around the tank. And sometimes what I like to do as well is that once I have that algae scratch off the side, it's still in the tank, it's not gone. So I like to then grab a fishing little net here, and I like to kind of catch some of those algae bits with the net. And then I can rinse this and dump the algae off in the sink once I finish. But this also helps to get rid of some of those particles that might be floating through the air. Just some things that I feel like I might not really want in my tank. Some algae or some just gook, some dirt that might just kind of really be floating around in the tank here. And so I like to make sure I do this when I do my water changes. You can also look at other ways to help keep this tank clean. Again, one of the ways, and the reason it's not clean is really that the tank's not balanced. There's an imbalance of some of the nutrients. Usually the nitrate levels might be off, or phosphates. And so you might want to add some supplements. I've added here a little bag of PhosGuard. And you can add stuff like that if you want. It really just depends on how much you really want to do and how clean you want the tank to be. So that's just some tips and tidbits about how to really keep that tank clean. And you will see I got a lot of gook coming out of this tank. So got a good amount of stuff that really kind of nasty looking in the tank. And we just want our tank to look nice and pretty. And you can always add some more coral in here as well. You can always get that at Bluefish Aquarium. They got some great people there, some great specialists, always willing to help you understand what you might need. So that's the last video. Thanks.